Have you ever tried to make something happen and no matter how hard you try, it just doesn't seem to work out? Have you ever experienced a success or an accomplishment, but no matter how many certificates, degrees, letters after your name, or education you have, you still feel intimidated by your peers? You still feel like you don't have the right or enough knowledge to get in front of a group of people and talk about something when you feel others are watching and judging you? If so, you've probably experienced the imposter syndrome. The imposter syndrome shows up in our life to kind of hijack our mind and say, who am I to think I could, however you would finish that sentence. If that's you, then you may want to pay close attention to this video because I've got something really wonderful for you. I am really excited to share this information. Hi, my name is Nancy Muller, and this information that I'm going to be sharing with you is all around mastering your beliefs. And mastering your beliefs is the basis for all of the coaching that I've done for more than 20 years. Because everything that we think we can or cannot do is based on a belief. But you know where those beliefs start? They start in our childhood. In our childhood, that's where we create all of the known associations that we have in our mind. All of those thoughts that say, you can do this, you can't do this. Who do you think you are? And those thoughts, those beliefs, we bring them with us into adulthood. And when that happens, they feed into the imposter syndrome. So oftentimes, no matter how much we work at it, no matter how many accomplishments we have, no matter how much education we have, we can still feel like it's not enough or that we are not enough. So I'd really like you to take a look at this e-course. And if this is something that resonates with you, please do yourself a favor and download it today. Because you could get started mastering your beliefs, eliminating the imposter syndrome, understanding where your thoughts, feelings, and emotions come from, and how you can make them work for you instead of against you. How you can help them to empower you rather than disempower you. Have you ever wondered why some people are so successful while others just dream of success? Have you ever wondered why some people are so financially abundant and others seem to always be in a state of lack? Have you ever wondered why some people feel so confident to get up on stage and share their gifts and their talents while other people would rather hide in the broom closet than get up in front of people? Have you ever wondered why some people seem to have such easy relationships while others seem to struggle relationship after relationship? All of this has to do with your self-talk. All of this has to do with your beliefs. And when your self-talk and your beliefs is feeding into the imposter syndrome, it can be the very thing that's stopping you from the successes and the accomplishments that you really want to have. So if this sounds like something that you'd like to empower yourself around, then this information is going to be very, very helpful for you. Once you understand the power of mastering your beliefs, you'll have gained the knowledge to eliminate those negative feelings and emotions that are so often associated with imposter beliefs, failure beliefs, beliefs like you're not good enough, like I'll never make this happen in my life. You can do this, but anything you think you can't do, it's simply a matter of retraining your mind. In other words, mastering those beliefs and reframing the way you think, reframing the words that you use. When you start doing that, your thoughts will change, your words will change, your energy changes. Everything about you will start changing and you will start attracting more of what you want and less of what you don't want. This course includes a workbook with 5 easy to follow videos that you can watch over and over and over again. There are a lot of links that'll take you to outside sources. All of this to help you master your beliefs around the imposter syndrome so that you can do, be, and have whatever you say you want. And then once you have it, you can stand fast in the knowledge that, hey, I'm fabulous. I deserve this. I deserve to be letting people know why my accomplishments matter. And isn't that what we're all here for? To find out what we're really meant for in this world? When we discover why we're here, our purpose, our passion, and then we wake up every morning living our purpose and our passion, it's the best way ever to feel in your life. So if this is something that you'd like to get started on today, download the e-course. Oh, and by the way, have fun while you're doing it. Because after all, anything in life worth having is worth having fun while you do it, while you learn it, while you're getting to where you want to go. Learn to have a little more fun in your life. Learn to love your life. Learn to tell yourself, hey, I deserve all of this and so much more. I am so excited you're still watching this video and are interested in this course overview. You're going to hear some information that's life-changing, and I can say that with 100% confidence because when I truly understood this information, everything about my life clicked into place. If you've ever doubted who you are, what you were born to do, or sometimes wonder if you're good enough, smart enough, knowledgeable enough, and would like to eliminate these doubts, then you're in the right place. Before I go any farther, I'd like to give you a brief introduction to who I am, why I'm qualified to be sharing this information, and most of all, why I feel so passionate about sharing this information. My clients usually refer to me as their sensei, a title from my days as a student, competitor, and teacher in the martial arts. Now, I'm sharing the mindset work of martial arts while teaching women how to eliminate the imposter syndrome. The mindset work that I share is what I refer to as the inner work, because everything we want to do, be, or have is an inside job. I started my business in 1998, teaching self-defense classes to women. Yep, that's me at the front of the class, teaching a self-defense class. The mindset work that I was sharing in my classes organically transitioned to the books I've published, coaching, mentoring, speaking, and workshops that I now teach. If you'd like to know more about my work, you can read more at masteringyourbeliefs.com. But enough about me. Let's get back into this overview. Let's get back into the reason you're here, learning about the imposter syndrome and how it's impacting your life. So, what exactly is the imposter syndrome? This is how Google defines the imposter syndrome: a psychological pattern in which one doubts one's accomplishments and has a persistent, internalized fear of being exposed as a fraud. The imposter syndrome usually starts with a thought in your mind that sounds something like this: who am I to, or how can I possibly share what I know in front of other people who have been doing this long before I ever came along? And here's an example of one of my imposter beliefs and how the imposter syndrome struck me in a big way. When I was a second-degree brown belt, my sensei wanted me to learn a 7th-degree black belt kata and use it in competition at an international karate champion. I was so excited. I practiced and we worked together, and man, by the time the competition came around, I knew that kata backwards and forwards, up and down. I could have done it in my sleep. And yet, when I got into the ring and I bowed into the judges, it's like everything in front of me became a wall of white. As soon as I looked at that panel of black belt judges, my imposter syndrome hit my head in a big way and said, who do you think you are? You're a 2nd-degree brown belt and you're going to compete in front of all these black belt judges with a 7th-degree black belt kata? And yep, as you can imagine, all I could do was bow out and walk out of the ring. It was like I had no memory of what I was even supposed to do while I was in there. Of course, as soon as I walked away, as soon as I got out of the ring, everything came flooding back to me, and I was like, darn, 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 I knew that. Why did I let those beliefs conquer me? But by then, it was too late. You know, it's not like you could go back in the ring and have a do-over. And, you know, this happens to us so much, right? We know something, yet we're afraid to raise our hand. We're afraid to maybe talk about something that's going on, join in on a conversation. We're afraid of being judged. And so we just simply stay silent or don't go after that thing we really want to go after. So that's how just one of the ways that the imposter syndrome hit me really big in my life. But you know, I found that the imposter syndrome goes way deeper than this. I define the imposter syndrome as any thought that separates you from your sole purpose and has you believing that you are anything less than fabulous. So, if you have a difficult time seeing yourself as fabulous, by the end of this short e-course overview, you'll understand and think about how you can shift your mindset to accepting your fabulous self. Here's what you can expect from this course overview. I'm going to share a 4-step process to recognizing and eliminating the imposter syndrome. And then you can decide if you're ready to take this work a little farther by downloading the e-course. If that sounds good, keep watching. Now you know how Google defines the imposter syndrome, as well as my definition. Let's take a look at how it's showing up in your life. The imposter syndrome shows up most likely in your self-talk. Your self-talk is that little voice inside your head that's constantly questioning your value and your levels of self-esteem, self-image, self-confidence, self-love, self-worth. In other words, it's feeding into your ego-based thoughts to keep you from seeing how fabulous you truly are. By the way, here's my definition of fabulous. A woman who knows how fabulous she is a woman who has learned that the hurt and trauma she's experienced in the past will never define her. Because it's not what happens to us that defines who we are, but what we do with what happened. No matter how much education I had, there were always doubts about whether or not I deserved to earn a really good living from the work that I do. You know, a living where I could support myself, I didn't have to depend on someone else. That was the goal for starting my own business. Those doubts all stem from the emotions associated with memories and events from my past. Those doubts also led me to my own therapists, coaches, mentors, spiritual teachers, karate senseis, Reiki masters, financial advisors, and health coaches, all of whom taught me why I deserve to be abundant, prosperous, happy, and confident about who I am, what I do, and why I'm so fabulous. But before I got there, I had a few doubts about myself. In fact, I had a lot of doubts about myself. Did you know that 99% of the doubts you're thinking today and the thoughts that you're thinking today are the same thoughts you had yesterday and will be the same thoughts you have tomorrow until you're open to doing the inner work it takes to shift your mindset? Everything we believe to be true, whether it's a negative belief or a positive belief, was taught to us in childhood by our parents or caregivers, just like everything they learned was taught to them in the same way. As a woman, you have so much on your mind, but did you know that the thoughts, beliefs, and feelings attached to negative experiences from your past can continue to show up in present-day situations? A perfect example of this is the fear of public speaking. The throat chakra is the home to our communication for speaking, listening, and self-expression. When our throat chakra is blocked, we find it difficult to speak our truth, maybe out of fear. We also have a hard time actually realizing what our truth even is. As the throat chakra governs the mouth, tongue, and neck, it relates to the communication and your ability to understand and speak your inner, purely truth. When that's out of balance, one has difficulty staying true to themselves and expressing needs, desires, and opinions within themselves and to others. When children believe they're not allowed to fully express themselves, they often take this belief with them into adulthood. Did you know that 75% of the population has a fear of public speaking? That means that at a funeral, 75% of the people at the service would rather be in the coffin than speaking to the congregation. Wouldn't it be wonderful if, instead of choosing death, they could simply master their beliefs? Let's take a look at how the imposter beliefs show up in your life. It's estimated that 70% of people experience signs and symptoms of the imposter syndrome at some time in their life. And these are just some of the thoughts that are feeding their negative self-talk. I'm not good enough. This belief can keep you from trying something new. I'm not smart enough. This belief can keep you from going after promotion, going on dates, joining in on intellectual conversations. I'm not educated enough. This belief can make you a permanent student. I'm not prepared enough. This belief can cause anxiety, not lending your opinion, not taking credit for something you deserve. I'm not affluent enough. This belief is where you see yourself socially and cause you to live your life always trying to keep up with the Joneses. Who are those Joneses anyway? Did you ever stop to ask yourself why we even have such a saying? What would make us think that we have to take action to keep up with another person's choices? I'll never make enough money. This belief keeps you living your life in cause and effect. In other words, you believe that you have to do this in order to earn that. I feel so intimidated by my peers. This can make you feel left out or like everyone has figured out the secret to life or business and you always seem to be struggling. You always feel judged by yourself and others. Continual education. You keep telling yourself you need one more class, one more certificate, more letters after your name, or feel unqualified for something you really think you'd enjoy doing. And even if you reach your desired goal, you take on the arrival fallacy and immediately start looking for another way to educate yourself just to prove your worth. These types of self-talk are based on a belief. Every belief is created based on something you were taught, intuited, or experienced. The belief, I'm not good enough, is often based on never being able to please your parents. The feelings and emotions associated with being a disappointment to your parents then become imprinted in your cellular DNA. And the feeling of being disappointment to others can then become an addiction. You're actually addicted to the feeling of not being good enough. This means you'll attract people, experiences, and other things to feed into your feelings or beliefs that you're not good enough. The same holds true with every belief listed on this slide. The good news is you have the power to break your addictions and create new imprints on your cellular DNA. Now, before I go more into this, you might want to get a pen and paper and jot down some questions. This will help you go with the rest of the slide and the course overview so that you can kind of get the feeling for what it is that brought you to this page in the first place. The first step is to identify the imposter belief. And the way you do that is to know yourself. You have to be able to answer the question of, who am I? Who am I? And why am I here? With such conviction that no person or experience can shake your belief in who you are and what you're here to do. To do this, all you need is a desire to truthfully answer the question. This might sound like an easy step, but it's actually the most difficult because it means you have to be willing to ask yourself some hard questions. And most of us go to great lengths just to keep from asking ourselves those questions. Human beings are notorious at avoiding who they really are by staying too busy, too preoccupied, or in denial about what's really going on in our minds. We find ways to avoid the inner work by drinking, self-medicating, binge watching, being a workaholic, sex, drugs, retail therapy, anything that takes our mind off of the thing that's bothering us the most. The problem is we can only avoid what we don't want to think about for so long. And each time we don't deal with it, the universe will find another way to bring it to our attention. And each time we don't deal with it, the next lesson is usually more painful. Many of you are already experiencing the inability to remain in denial on some level as you experience the current isolation and social distancing parameters. The people who are struggling the most are the people who are not accustomed to doing the inner work. They're the people who are used to living the life of cause and effect. They believe that things are done to them. Things are done and people do things to them, making them feel helpless and most often dwell in a victim mindset. The second step is your belief. What belief is feeding your negative self-talk? The third step is the feelings and emotions that you've attached to your belief. And the fourth step is finally admitting how the very things you've been avoiding are impacting your life by showing up mentally, physically, spiritually, and emotionally in your relationships, your finances, your health, and your career. As you look at these 4 steps, let's take a look at how the 4-step process works for whatever struggles or challenges you may be currently facing. Number 1, what do you believe is your current challenge, problem, or struggle? Once you've written this down, and it might even be what brought you to my site, then ask yourself, why do I believe that? When you can answer why you believe that very, very truthfully, then ask yourself, why do I believe that? And when you can answer that why, then ask yourself again, why do I believe that? You see, we're taking it down 4 different levels to why you believe what you believe, to really get to the base of your feelings, emotions, and your beliefs. Let me give you an example. Let's say your current challenge is that you're working a 9 to 5, but would rather quit and work your soul-based business. So you ask yourself, why am I stuck in my 9 to 5? Your answer will be the pain point about why you believe you have this problem or challenge. When you look at the belief around your problem, you may believe that you can't quit your job because your soul-based business is not generating the kind of money you need to support your living expenses. Why do you believe you aren't generating enough money through your soul-based business? And the answer is not, hello, look at my bank account. That's not the answer. The answer to this will tell you how the imposter syndrome is showing up for you. This step is often where most people stop the process because they don't believe they know the answer, or because the answer to this is something that they're not really ready to accept. When you're not ready to accept the answer, it's usually because you're still living in a belief of cause and effect. And for this particular example, the cause and effect would be, I have to learn X amount of money before I can leave my job. This is the step where you blame other people, events, or experiences for your circumstances. The fourth why is the step where you give yourself permission to look at your beliefs and allow them to be open for debate. At this point, all you have to do is be open to the possibility that something better exists. You can't just flip a switch and start believing something different, putting up affirmations, saying things to yourself that you don't really believe or feel. Come on, we're way too smart for that to let that happen. This is why 97% of dieters give up after the first week or regain the weight, because they didn't shift their mindset from the beliefs that created their reasons for dieting in the first place. This work isn't about willpower. This work is about going within to find your answers. You have to stop waiting. Stop waiting for the approval of others. Stop waiting for people to understand what you're doing, and stop waiting for other people to believe in what you're doing. You have to have so much belief in what you're doing that no person, event, or experience is going to stop you from being what you want to be, doing what you want to do, and living your life the way you've dreamed of living it. This diagram shows you the cycle of manifesting. We manifest every single experience that comes into our life, whether they're positive or negative. It doesn't matter where on the chart you begin, the experience will always follow this pattern until you learn to break the cycle. Let's take a belief. I need to go on a diet. This is a good example because we as a society are so obsessed with how we think we need to look. Then look at the feeling. Unwanted, disappointed, like a failure, unattractive, judged. Now the emotion, embarrassed, outcast, different. And the thoughts. I can't go out. I have nothing to wear that looks good on me. I hate buying clothes. Nothing fits right. I have to lose 30 pounds this week or I'll never fit into my dress this weekend. If I were thinner, my husband would be prouder of me. And then your thoughts become your words because you have to talk about it with people so someone will commiserate with you or try to comfort you. And every thought and every word becomes an order you place with the universe. And based on the law of attraction, you manifest what you think about and speak about. From a very young age, we create habits and patterns that create this cycle of how we live our life. Pain, denial, avoidance, and then most of us pass this cycle on to our children. Children take it on faith that what they're being taught is the truth, whether they're being taught something positive or something negative. They then take these beliefs with them into adulthood and don't even realize that every choice they make as an adult is based on a belief taught to them by someone who didn't know or have the capacity to question what they were being taught. Generation after generation, these beliefs are passed down to future generations until someone has the foresight to question their beliefs and break these cycles. An example of this is when family traditions and cultures are no longer practiced. You may have experienced something like this when you moved out of your parents' home. You wanted to start traditions of your own, or no longer saw value of holding on to old traditions. And then you had to deal with the fallout of simply wanting to live your life your way. In order to show you what this cycle looks like and what happens when you haven't been taught to eliminate these destructive cycles, I'm going to share my story, including what led me to martial arts. Growing up, my childhood was plagued by mental, verbal, emotional, and physical abuse that escalated to sexual abuse by the time I was 12 years old. I spent most of my childhood years wondering why I'd been born, and the rest of my time wishing I hadn't been born. All of these experiences form my beliefs about who I thought I was. From the time I was in the 6th grade, I wanted to study karate. I thought if I could learn to fight like Bruce Lee, no one would ever lay a hand on me again. I actually used to fantasize about being able to fight and how I would kick my father's butt if he ever laid a hand on me again. When you're raised with violence, violence also seems to be the answer to your struggles. This is why abused children often become abusive parents until someone learns to break the cycle. The older I got, the more I started to question the life I'd been forced to live as a child. Secrets were big in our family. I'm Italian, and we're taught at a very early age that you don't talk about what goes on within the family with anyone outside of the family. As a matter of fact, you don't talk about it with anyone in the family either, so you learn to stay quiet about what's really going on in your home. As I stated earlier, not being able to express yourself will often create a block in your throat chakra. The more I questioned my childhood experiences, I felt angry, bitter, vengeful, and believed I was a victim, especially when I confronted my mother about what my father had done to me and realized she knew what was happening and never stepped in to help me. As you can imagine, this impacted step 2 and 3 of the imposter syndrome and also became part of my story about why I believed I was a victim. The 4 steps to eliminate the imposter syndrome are the same steps that form your negative self-talk. I identified with being an abused child. I believed that because of how I was raised, I was damaged, and the feelings and emotions associated with my beliefs were impacting my life every single time I shared my story about why I believed I was a victim. And then, of course, when I stopped keeping our family secrets, I started talking about it. Even though my throat chakra was no longer blocked, talking about it made me believe I was healed and moving on. But I didn't realize the feelings and emotions were still feeding my imposter beliefs. That all changed when I became a student of the martial arts, because the journey from white belt to black belt teaches us that the most powerful weapon we possess is our mind. I came up against some very limiting beliefs. I came up against my limiting beliefs so many times that I often felt like a fraud for even showing up to the dojo every day. I doubted who I deserved to be until I finally understood that if everything I believed to be true about who I am is based on experiences, it was time for me to create new, empowering experiences to build my future from, instead of allowing the experiences of my past to determine my worth. And the only person who could kick my imposter beliefs to the curb was me. To kick my imposter beliefs to the curb, I learned to shift my mindset from victim mode to warrior mode to being mindful of my thoughts. And this is why I chose to stop teaching women to use their physical strength and start using the power of their mind. This is why I'm teaching women how they can shift their mindset from disbelief to fabulous. Your story may not be one of childhood trauma, but what about these stories? The girl who was always told she's perfect and could do no wrong, then, as an adult, wonders why her relationships or her marriage doesn't live up to those expectations. Being expected to follow in the footsteps of your parents and work in the family business, even though you'd rather be doing something else. Watching your mother be the caregiver of her parents and fearing that your life may turn out the same way. Wanting to get divorced, but you fear your parents and grandparents would disown you, or what it would do to you socially. Deciding not to have children, and your parents are upset with you, and they're upset that they're not going to be grandparents. Not identifying with the gender you were born into.
realizing you're attracted to the same sex, but you were raised that that's the wrong way to think. Beliefs about race and social hierarchy, your toxic mother-daughter relationship, having a loving, doting father, and now you can't find a husband or boyfriend who will ever measure up to your expectations of a man. See, we're not born into our beliefs. They're all taught to us by someone else. There are so many experiences from our childhood that we don't think to question. After all, that's the way it's always been. And it's the way it will always continue to be until we allow our beliefs to be open for debate. To live a truly empowered life, you must be able to share your story from feelings of empowerment instead of victim feelings. You must be open to questioning your beliefs, where they come from, and how they're creating your cycles of manifesting. When you can do this, your past traumas and hurtful experiences become your credentials instead of your reasons for wanting others to sympathize or commiserate with you. Are you starting to see why your mind is your most powerful weapon? So, how do you make it work for you? Well, I'm so glad you asked that question. Are you aware that our bodies are made up entirely of energy? Every living thing is made up of energy, and we are all connected energetically. This is what the law of attraction is all about. Whatever you send out vibrationally into the universe will come back to you tenfold. If you're thinking and talking about lack, your feelings and emotions will match your thoughts and your words. So every time I shared my story about being a victim, or felt angry, or that I had no value, the universe had no choice but to send me more of what I was asking for. And the same is true for every one of you, because most of us have been taught to live our life in cause and effect. You have to do this to get that, instead of learning how to tap into the energy that you are. When you truly understand the law of attraction, instead of you living your life in cause and effect, you'll learn how you can actually cause the effect. The effect that you want, the effect that you want to live, how you want to live your life. Are you beginning to see how the imposter syndrome is being fed by your thoughts, beliefs, feelings, and emotions? They keep you from being fabulous. It's so important to be able to recognize and eliminate the imposter syndrome. Are you beginning to see how powerful you truly are and why you have everything you need to kick your own imposter beliefs to the curb? We are living in changing times. The energy in us and all around us is shifting. And for those of you who are still waiting for things to go back to normal, you're going to be waiting forever, because these shifts are happening to prepare us for a new way of living our lives in a more conscious state of being. Challenges expand a person and can lead to great wisdom and great expansion, depending on how you respond to the challenges. But this can't happen for you unless you gain the understanding that you need to eliminate your negative, fear-based beliefs that often show up as imposter beliefs, lack beliefs, and the inadequacy beliefs that are keeping you from your goals, dreams, and the future you dream of having. Now, for those of you who are saying, I don't believe this, it can't be easy. It can't be as easy as she says it is. It can't. It can't be as easy as this 4-step process to change my life. And you know what? If that's what you believe, that will be your truth. Because unless you're opening your mind, unless you're open to questioning your beliefs, nothing is going to change for you. As I said at the beginning of this webinar, I know this works because I'm living proof that it works. And what I can do, you can do. It works if you're willing to empty your mind of all that you know to make room for more knowledge. It works if you're willing to empty your cup. To understand the full meaning of empty your cup, here's an example of how it was explained by Bruce Lee. Let me tell you the story my sensei told me, he said. It's about the Japanese Zen master who had a visit from a university professor who came to inquire about Zen. It was obvious to the master from the start of the conversation that the professor was not so much interested in learning about Zen as he was in impressing the master with his own opinions and knowledge. The master listened patiently and finally suggested they have tea. The master poured his visitor's cup full and then kept pouring. The professor watched the cup overflowing until he could no longer restrain himself. The cup is over full. No more will go in. Like this cup, the master said, you are full of your own opinions, speculations, and beliefs. How can I show you Zen unless you first empty your cup? If this is you, if you're ready to empty your cup, if you're ready to actually start living the life you want, instead of only dreaming about the life you want to live, then I'm inviting you to learn why every challenge, every setback, and every time you suffered has a meaning behind it. None of your experiences are meaningless, arbitrary, or random. There's a deeper purpose for everything you experience, and you can either use those experiences to make you feel inferior or superior, because life is all about choices. I believed martial arts would teach me how to get vengeance, but what it really taught me is how to live a superior life through peace of mind. So if you're ready to live a superior life, I'm inviting you to get started making the changes you say you want by taking the information you've learned here to the next level. If you're really ready to eliminate your imposter beliefs, lack beliefs, and the inadequacy beliefs that are keeping you from your goals, dreams, and the future you dream of having, here's your opportunity to download this course and get ready to recognize the imposter syndrome. Here's what people are saying about this course. I've always felt that everyone else was taught how to live a happy life except me. This course taught me that we have the power to end the slavery of pain. I've lived most of my life trying to behave differently to make everyone else happy. This course taught me that once I learned to live as my authentic self, I was able to let go of the need to put the happiness of others before my own. I had no idea why this work is so important, but I was looking for answers, and I decided to see if this course could provide me with the answers I needed. This course felt like the key that unlocked the door that gave me the confidence to live my best life. Because I want to make this information affordable for any woman who's ready to level up in her life, I'm offering this course at a very affordable price. This course includes a workbook, links to external resources, templates, and 5 short, easy-to-follow videos with all the information you need to start mastering your beliefs. I created this course specifically to show you how to transform your imposter thoughts to thoughts that empower, motivate, and inspire you mentally, physically, financially, and spiritually, as well as emotionally, so you can begin to shift your mindset to a higher level of consciousness. Stop putting your life in the hands of other people. The only way you're going to live the life you dream of living is to be able to believe in who you are, why you're here, and what makes you so fabulous. We are experiencing the first stage of the greatest transformation in the history of civilization. From living our lives through cause and effect to learning that we have the power to cause the effect we desire. Life as we know it is changing, and if you want to manifest the life you want to live, this course can show you how. Thank you so much for taking the time to watch this video. By now, you'll know if this course is right for you. If it is, get started mastering your beliefs today. In the meantime, this is Nancy Muller saying ciao for now.